afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Messiah, and I have the honor and pleasure to serve as the chair of PECS, that's Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services, in addition to being the District 3 County Commissioner. I serve alongside my other colleagues of this board. That's Commissioner Robert Patrick, who's here today with us from District 1. Also not present is Commissioner Michelle Longspears from District 2. We actually have Commissioner gracious, just draw a blank. My apologies. We have Commissioner Terry, that is from Super District 6, that is joining us as well. Thank you so much for joining us here with PECS. We're going to follow the agenda as much as possible, as listed for those that are following along with. With that, we'll get started with the first agenda item, which is the minutes, and that agenda item is 2026-1169, and that's all commission districts, the minutes for June 6, 2026, Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services Committee meeting. If Commissioner Patrick, if you've had an opportunity to review those, I will accept a motion, please.
Motion to approve 1169.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. And we'll jump right into our appointments, appreciative of the individuals that are here with us today and their willingness to serve DeKalb County. We'll start with 2026-1127, and that is all commission district. Appoint Shelley Bishop to post 2 of the DeKalb County Board of Family and Children Services. Ms. Bishop, if you would approach, thank you so much, and thank you for being here with us today. And so we generally will start our interviews similarly in just asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then any of your skills, experiences, past work history that will make you valuable to serve on the DeKalb Board of Family and Children Services. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Commissioner, as well as to the other commissioners on the PECS committee. I am Shelley K. Bishop. I am a Ohio native. I was born and raised there. I went to Florida A&M University and then a graduate school with the MS, and graduated from Ohio State University with my MSW. I've been serving students and children most of my career. I've been in schools for 20 plus years, but I've also served in DFACS as well as community agencies in Columbus, Ohio, as well as in other outreach programs. Serving children has been my life's work. I was inspired by one of my school counselors in high school, and she said, you know what, you have the ability to serve, so I want you to take you under my tutelage, and I am going to train you. And here I am now as the Director of Wraparound and Support Services with the DeKalb County School District is my current position. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And you do have an extensive resume here, and your prior work to DFACS. That the DFACS board serves as a liaison between the community and the county by evaluating local child welfare services, family assistance programs like foster care, TANF, SNAP. Can you tell us, how would you engage with the community and other stakeholders that are not listed? For instance, when it comes to our court system, juvenile courts, some of our other family courts and superior court, so that you can strengthen some of the services and the work that you would do on the board?
Great question. Currently, I serve as one of the members of our attendance protocol committee with the Solicitor General, so I'm very familiar with working with both courts, juvenile court and the Solicitor General's office. I work directly with our external stakeholders, our partners in the community that serve our safe centers and our 8 high schools. And how I strengthen that is by continuing to build connections and helping them understand the programs in which I'm leading first, and then understand their programming. And so recently, last year, I started having a yearly partner meeting with our school-based mental health services, so that we can continue to strengthen that with the school districts as well as our external partners. So I've been working really hard at trying to ensure that we engage our partners to make sure they have a strong voice in the school district, as well as how we transfer what we do and how we work with them in their own settings. So I think it's a transferable relationship, and I just believe in making sure those connections are strengthened when I'm working with them directly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and it's great to hear that you are already working with our Solicitor General, Donna Coleman-Stribling, and
Yes.
the other court systems related to it, because that is typically a missing piece. So thank you so much for having the foresight to, already been having the conversations and working on those lines. I'm going to open up the floor for the rest of my colleagues, and particularly Commissioner Patrick, who serves as a committee member. And, feel free, Commissioner Patrick, to ask any of the questions in an interview packet, or, any of your own.
Okay. I'll take the fourth question. First of all, thank you for being here. It is a tough job that you're interested in and that you currently do, and it is appreciated. So thank you for looking after them. Serving on the DFACS board requires sound judgment when addressing sensitive issues involving children and families. Describe a time when you had to balance confidentiality, ethical considerations, and public interest while making a decision. And what did you learn from that experience?
Yes, so as a trained professional or clinician, it is important that I am ethically sound in my standards for, number one, my certification with our Georgia Professional Standards and working in education. Privacy is important to our families. We serve the most sensitive families in our district, specifically our homeless population, as well as our foster care students. Yep. And so we work in conjunction with our other external and internal stakeholders to ensure that we are ensuring that our families are safe and that we're maintaining ethical standards. In the second part of that question, what did you say? I'm sorry. Repeat that.
And what did you learn from the experience? So, through those things that we just talked about, what did you distill? What was the learn that you had that came out of all of that?
Yes. So, I was trained very well, and so I have a great record in reference to privacy. I haven't had any concerns in reference to how I treat my families with the most respect, whether they're living in their car and or if they're living with a relative. Mm-hmm. And so what I've learned is that when someone trusts you, when someone believes in that you want to help them, that they will allow you to help them. And so through my skill set and my relationship building, that's really just continuing to strengthen that has helped me to learn how to support our families that are most vulnerable. Thank you. All
right. Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. And Commissioner Terry, you're free to answer and to ask any questions either here or that you might have of Ms. Shelley.
Yes, happy to ask one of the prearranged questions. Was number 3 work? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So the board annually evaluates the effectiveness of county DFACS operations and makes recommendations for improvement. Describe your experience reviewing programs, policies, and performance data, and how would you approach identifying opportunities for improvement while supporting the agency's mission?
Yes, thank you. So again, in my experience as an educator, we're constantly evaluating our impact. And when we bring in program and or if we utilize specific systems and or tools. And so I think that is very important that we need to ensure that we are providing our constituents once we bring in programming, specific instruments and surveys, and asking for feedback to ensure that we are supporting the families and the constituents of what they need. And so that is very important to me. I believe in getting feedback from our stakeholders is important because that's how we strengthen the work that we do every day. And our clientele, our parents, our families, our residents are the most important customers, and so I believe in gaining feedback from them, and I would utilize that information in supporting the board in how we strengthen the things that the mission for the county and or DFACS. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Commissioner Terry. And I'll just ask the last question that we will ask all of our interviewees, and that is, are there any extenuating circumstances or potential reasons for recusal that could preclude or impede your service to DFACS or the DFACS board?
No.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much, Ms. Shelley Bishop, for being here and your willingness to serve. Someone from staff will be back in touch with you. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon.
Thank you for this opportunity. Take care.
Thank you. And we're going to continue through our appointments. The next agenda item is 2026-1128. All commission districts to appoint Ms. April Moore to post 5 of the DeKalb County Board of Family and Children Services. Great afternoon, Ms. Moore. How are you doing today?
Greetings and salutations. How are you?
Doing amazing. We're going to start off just the same way, just a brief introduction and what type of skills and experience that you have that you hope to be a benefit to the DFACS board.
Absolutely. Again, my name is April Moore, and I have been a DeKalb County resident for over 40 years. I went to Bob Mathis Elementary School, went up to Briar Lake. I was on the MDM program, then graduated from the Southwest DeKalb High School, and I continue to live in DeKalb County. My current role, I'm a major over training, background, and recruitment for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. I've been in law enforcement for 20 years, and of course, through that role, you acquire a lot of skills interacting with people, interpersonal skills, and community engagement as well. And so with that, and of course, our jail, many people know, is under consent decree. So you learn a lot about organizing programs, organizing initiatives, and making sure that you meet muster when it comes to that, giving resources as well. And I'm also very engaged in community, serve as the past president now of Junior League of DeKalb County, an organization that has been serving DeKalb County since 1934, and I continue to serve in that organization as the chair of our House Preservation Committee. And I believe that's, I do a lot of things, and I love DeKalb County, been here, born and raised.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for that. And I guess I'll take a little bit of a different approach, since you do have that that law background in the courts, a little different or converse. When it comes to engaging with members of the community, stakeholders, and being able to assist programs like foster care, TANF, SNAP, what are your thoughts in terms of being able to engage, or what organizations would you also see yourself engaging with to be able to bring some more of that community-based servicing to your experiences as serving on the DFACS board?
Absolutely. One of the organizations that I actually recently rolled off of the board of directors is Family First. And Families First also does provide navigator services for foster care to DeKalb County residents. And I think just my community approach, being in law enforcement, you come across so many organizations that are trying to serve, and a lot of times they have difficulty being connected to the people that they need to be able to serve. And being in this role would allow me to continue to serve as a liaison to bring those services to individuals. And I think just by nature of the work that I do receive a lot of resources and hear about a lot of opportunities, not just Fulton, but DeKalb County and just the metropolitan area. So I would certainly continue to make sure that people even know that I serve on the board, because that also attracts people to you because they know that you are doing this work and they bring that information to you as well.
Thank you so much for that, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, you took the first two. I'm going to take question number 3. And again, thank you for being here. We appreciate your interest and your time in this important endeavor. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. The board annually evaluates the effectiveness of the county DFACS operations and makes recommendations for improvement. Describe your experience reviewing programs, policies, or performance data. How would you approach identifying opportunities for improvement while supporting the agency's mission?
I think the first thing you need to identify is what is the baseline and what are the metrics that we are using to measure what success looks like. And once those have been identified, looking at the resources that are available to be able to achieve those metrics. And then once that is determined, looking at the policies that the agency currently has and identifying the gaps. And I don't know if the board goes as far as to be able to have conversations with either executive, senior level management and or staff members, because having that frontline conversation, because sometimes there's a disconnect between what people are being asked to do versus what is actually being done on the ground level. So I think trying to determine where the disconnect may be, if there is one at all, and what those improvements could potentially be, and seeing if they are feasible once implemented.
Yeah, no, that great answer. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, April, for being here. I can definitely attest to the part of your resume with all of the organizations you're part of, because I have seen you out there in the community at many events over the years. So I'll just confirm that what's listed on your resume is actually very accurate, and you're very involved, because I see you a lot out in DeKalb community events. I will ask one of the pros questions. So this question is, the board is composed of members from diverse professional backgrounds and is expected to reflect the demographics of the community it serves. How would you contribute to productive collaboration with fellow board members who may have different perspectives or areas of expertise?
Well, I think first, going back to establishing a baseline, what does everyone bring to the table? What are those diverse backgrounds, whether it be socioeconomic status, profession, gender, race, any number of things can impact how you show up and have conversations and what those experiences are. And I think once that conversation amongst the team has occurred, we can then look at what the needs are for the board. And once those needs are established, whether it be subcommittees, specific initiatives or work, that perspective or whoever has the strongest knowledge in that area could maybe take the lead on that, bring it back to the group, and certainly continue to have conversations. But I think diversity of thought is very important, and being able to step outside of what you believe to be true to be able to get to a better understanding, because I think as we have our own life experiences, sometimes it can limit us. And so, especially when you're dealing with children and so many changes, whether it be related to funding or whether it be related to state law updates, I think it would be important to make sure that we are listening to every voice in the room and taking it into consideration, because often, the quietest voice may be the one that has the greatest ideas, and making sure everybody comes in, because some people may not be as outspoken or may feel like their voice is not being heard. So just making sure everyone is having an opportunity to speak to what is occurring or what is being discussed.
Great, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. And so just for the final question, in terms of seeing all of the engagement and involvement, is there anything that you believe will preclude or create a conflict in your ability to execute on the DFACS board?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you,
My
Ms.
pleasure.
Ware, for being here and all the service, because I too see you, out there and all the work that you're doing. And I could not run the marathons that you run, to say the least. It is very impressive. But thank you for representing us well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. For those following along, I'm going to continue on. The next agenda item is coming from the CEO's office, and that is the 2026-1132, all commission districts consent to sublease and modify portions of Kirkwood Mental Health Center, Clifton Springs Mental Health Center, and Way Mental Health Center under contract number 138000971 with DeKalb County DeKalb Community Service Board, DBA Clarital Health, to Genova Healthcare LLC for use as pharmacies. COO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is actually an item on behalf of Claritel, and what they're looking to do, I believe, is contract for pharmacy services at one of their facilities. So that's what this is about.
All right, because I'm seeing three locations. So is it one or is it three?
I apologize. At 3 of their facilities. Kirkwood.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and do they currently, they're supposed to currently provide pharmacy services to us now, to the county or the residents in the county?
I believe that they do, but in terms of how that's being provided, I'm not certain, but they're looking to have this operation provided by Genoa Healthcare.
All right, and I think, do we have someone in the back? Are you with Claritel or with Genova Healthcare?
With Claritel.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining. So in terms of having Genova Healthcare to provide pharmacy services, can you talk to me a little bit about the pharmacy services that Claritel presently provides?
Okay, so this relationship between DeKalb Community Service Board and Genoa has been in effect since 2014, and they've always been embedded in those 3 public health facilities, Kirkwood, Clifton Springs, and Wynway. And they operate as full-service pharmacies, so they are also available to the public. And what we do is we provide financial resources to cover the prescriptions for the clients that need their mental health medications and substance use disorder medications filled. And what Genoa does in response to being allowed to kind of operate those clinics there is they will credit us back. They will credit us back with medications to those clients in the amount of what we agree to on paper as a sublease. So basically, if we're saying that for occupying this space, it's approximately equivalent to $300 a month, then they will credit us back the $300 a month of funds that we provide to cover the medications for the individuals for free. So it's kind of like an offset. So it allows us to stretch the funding that we have for medication by allowing them to be inside the clinics.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Commissioner Patrick, do you have any questions?
No, that was an excellent question and a great answer, and I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Commissioner Terry.
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, I'm willing to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 1132.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And just to briefly go back before we get too far into our previous agenda items, the first one being ending in 1127, and that is the appointment of Ms. Shelley Bishop to post 2 of DeKalb DFACS. I'm willing to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next agenda item ending in 1128, all commission districts to appoint Ms. April Moore to post 5 of the DeKalb DFACS. I'm willing to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Going back to page 2, now under Park and Recs, that is agenda item 2026-0974, Commission Districts 3 and 6 to fund the operation of the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, CHARM, a recycling program with Live Thrive, Inc., located in 1225 Columbia Drive, Decatur, Georgia 30032. Great afternoon, Paige. How you doing today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing well. How are you?
Fantastic.
So this is a contract with Live Thrive, the recycling program, where we have a current contract. So this is the renewal. The terms have stayed the same. So we're looking to approve this contract.
All right. Has anything changed at all with the contract that we have presently?
The only change is we're going to pay them a little bit differently, but it doesn't affect the contract term.
Okay, same contract amount. All right. And I'm good on any questions. Commissioner Patrick?
No questions.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes. Why have we not switched over this contract to sanitation department?
Do we have someone here from beautification? Yes, if not, then COO, do you have?
Right. So we haven't really discussed doing that. It probably makes sense. The original contract, as you may recall, was placing charm on parkland, and so they were involved at the outset, but there's no specific reason that we haven't. So
Okay.
it's something we can do in the upcoming budget or something.
Okay. Well, I think this is a 3-year contract, so that's my only concern is that if, we've established a 10-year funding plan for sanitation services. I don't want to cannibalize Parks Department funds, which, should be going to parks. I understand that it's a park owned and they lease, is that right? Or they lease, okay. So I understand why it sort of started out that way.
Yeah.
I think at the time there was the goal of having like farm and charm, so the rest of the property
part
would
of the
have some
discussion.
other use. And, to be honest, like this was the opportunity that Side DeKalb had to coordinate with the commissioners who represent this area on that tax allocation district funding item, because they're bringing in sort of renovations to the front, but we have this charm and this potential other placemaking opportunity in the back, and they seem like they're just disjointed plans, even though the planning department's long-range plan does have a master plan for this entire Belvedere Plaza. So it would be good if
Maybe
there.
we can have a comprehensive discussion in PECS at a future meeting of all of that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean.
And maybe the placement of this long-term.
Yeah, because if the farm and charm idea was like to come together, then maybe it does make sense for this all to stay under the Parks Department. But just if it's going to just be a standalone,
Yeah.
basically a hard, it's some hazardous waste, computers, ththings we don't want to take to the landfill. Charm really is a benefit to the landfill operations at the end of the day.
So what I would suggest, I would suggest moving this forward, but I will convene Parks, Economic Development. I'll bring Chief Fallow, Dorian, McKinney. We'll just kind of talk it out and come present something back at PECS at a future meeting.
Okay. Is it possible in next budget cycle that this contract, I guess Parks is, maybe Parks manages it, but can't the funding source be the sanitation fund?
Is there funding associated with this?
Yes.
Okay, appropriated, yes.
Yeah, because it's the Parks Department General Fund, and
Let me check.
Yeah.
And it would, whether it's a sanitation fund or beautification fund, see which is more appropriate. Probably be beautification, but which is essentially undesignated. Yeah, we can work that out between now and next budget.
okay. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. If there are no further questions, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to approve 0974.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The next is the next is also a Parks and Rec, and that's 2026-1175, Commission Districts 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7, resolution to commit to the implementation of park improvements projects for the purpose of and to authorize submission of applications for grant funds to Georgia Department of Natural Resources of the Land, Water Conservation Fund and the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program, Lake and Dam Renovations Project at Exchange Park, located at 2775 Columbia Drive, Decatur, Georgia 30034, parcel number 15103010001, Chapel Hill Park, located at 4002 Lehigh Boulevard, Decatur, Georgia 30034, parcel 150350805, and Davison Arabia Natural Preserve located at 7162 South Goodard Road, Stonecrest, Georgia 30038, parcel number 16143010004, and Pleasantdale Park Improvement Project located at 3650 Pleasantdale Road, Doraville, Georgia 30340, parcel number 16143010013.
Thank you. And you should have a substitute. The note is the districts were incorrect, so they are corrected on your substitute. Again, recommend to approve. This is 2 grant applications. However, we're sub-recipients to the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, so that's why we've combined these. And so the first grant application is to fund lake and dam renovation projects at Exchange Park, Chapel Hill Park, and Arabia Mountain. And then the second grant application is for LCWF funds at Pleasantdale Park. These resolutions also identify the matches and the amounts in there, and the resolution is part of a requirement of the grant application itself.
Thank you so much. And can you just, talk about what some of the, I'm seeing lake and dam renovations at particular locations. So specifically, is the focus going to be there, or can you give us a little bit more context to this?
Sure, absolutely. So the 3 dam projects, the match is the SWIFT-P program. So that's focusing on dam safety. The GOSP grant, which is the Outdoor Stewardship Program, focuses more on fishing piers, trail connectivity, boardwalk overlooks, and sort of the recreational site furnishings that we provide. So that's what this grant will cover, the gap to open those to the public.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Commissioner Patrick, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, a statement. Thank you. Pleasantdale Park is the only park in unincorporated District 1, and so I'm grateful to see that it has made its way onto this grant application. And then just a follow-up question. So when it comes to the dams, those are because they're in parkland. That's why they're being handled by parks as opposed to stormwater or watershed management?
It's dual. Again, they are parkland, so we obviously are integrated in that, but the stormwater also is incorporated into it as well.
Gotcha.
Yes,
okay.
Both.
All right. Thank you very much, Paige. Appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Singer, is the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program, that's the state fund program? That's the state funds, not federal, right?
So no, the GOSP is federal. We're subrecipients to the Georgia DNR, which is the state. So we apply to the Georgia DNR, and then they apply to the feds. Okay, so there's no, because I thought there was like another state fund for parks and recreation that's not federal. It's like based on a fee or something. Is all federal funds? These are ultimately all federal funds. Okay, gotcha. And then the goal basically is get the match, but then I guess you have to still go through the federal process, right? So correct. All the archaeological, all those things. Yes, environmental, historical resources, the SHPOs. Yes, all of that's included. Okay, gotcha. And then are these to actually implement the plans? This is to approve us applying for the grant, right, and then to approve where the match funds are coming from. That's what this resolution is doing. Okay, and then the funds will be to actually complete the master plans, right? So it's to complete the actual projects for construction. For construction, yes. Okay, to build it. To build it, okay, yes. Perfect. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you so much. So in terms of the builds, for instance, the Exchange Park, that's in my district, so there's going to be a renovation more so than an actual build there. Correct. So we're going to reestablish the existing trail system. There's a boardwalk reconnecting the trail system back to the pavilion and ultimately the restrooms that are under construction now. And then again, also providing a fishing pier and some sort of deliberate lake access. So that's a theme in all of the lake and dam improvements. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Commissioner Terry.
One thing, I think that Director Hauser was looking at the Exchange Park as the potential connection down the Shoal Creek sewer trunk line for a pilot trail connection to the South River Trail. Is that right? Am I remembering that correctly? Okay. I just wanted to flag that. I know we have to go through the application process, but if we're doing the trails in Exchange Park, I think what we had talked about is connecting Exchange Park south to the South River Trail along the
Shoal Creek corridor?
The Shoal Creek sewer easement.
Okay, if that's great, because showing connectivity countywide is critical. So if that is in the planning, we'll definitely match into that.
Okay, I think Maria's team has that. They were working on that, Zach. Yep, okay, thank you.
With that, thank you so much, Paige. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the substitute for 1175.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. The last Park and Rec item is 2026-1179. That's in Districts 4 and 6. A resolution to commit to the implementation of an outdoor recreation project for the purpose of and to authorize the submission of an application for an outdoor recreation legacy partnership grant through the Land and Water Conservation Fund for improvements to Toby Grant Park located at 593 Parkdale Drive, Scottsdale, Georgia 30079, parcels number 18-046-01049.
So this is our third grant application, as I mentioned before, again, so because this one's going through LCWF, that's why we listed it separately. So this grant focuses on the outdoor space where the old recreation center used to be located. So it's revisioning that parking lot, pickleball courts, a new playground and pavilions, much needed improvements there, and the match on this is SPLOST.
Thank you so much for that and letting us know what the difference is, why this isn't grouped with the others, because that was going to be one of the questions I had. So thank you for being forward-thinking there. Are there any questions? Commissioner Patrick?
No questions.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Paige, for including this. I think there's like a sign up in the park that says new park coming, and it's been up there for a few years. So this is us moving forward on getting the funds we need to improve that.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
great, thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, if there is a motion.
Motion to approve 1179.
A second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. The next is from the Board of Commissioners. This is District 3, Agenda Item 2026-1216. Again, Commission District 3, Budget Amendment to increase the general fund for the Parks and Rec Cultural Affairs, to enforce Sugar Creek Golf, and to address the lighting and retention wall for the third tennis court, an amount not to exceed $800,000. Yes, I was going to say, Paige, I saw Director Bass here just a moment ago, but essentially, would you like to speak to this, or Director Bass is coming up? And I'll just briefly say, that in meeting with those folks and for some time, they have been communicating the specific need that we have to make some repairs, some much needed. I've been there continuously and had to visit on a regular basis myself through a school that was actually having tennis matches there. And in doing so, just recognizing that the specific need. So I'm glad we made sure that we touched base with Director Pass and Parks and Rec to ascertain what the need is.
And if I may, Madam Chair, and not speaking to the need, just the funding. So what we'd look to do is it would be a portion from SPLOST funding. I believe you have funds that can be allocated from SPLOST, order of magnitude, call it $400,000, and the balance would come from reserves or capital appropriation. We'd be moving money from capital funds. So those are the two sources that would make it up, and we'd probably create a capital account as opposed to move money into the parks budget. Same destination, just different route.
Okay. All right. As long as those allocations are there, Director Bass.
Yes, ma'am. And just to speak to the need, we held a community meeting and we shared with the plans that based on the studies that we weren't able to add, we had to eliminate one of the courts. Or initially, we were planning for 3 courts, pickleball courts specifically. So there was about $800,000 difference in that particular request. So that was presented to the community.
Yes, and so thank you for that. I thank you guys for your participation, and we heard the community loud and proud. I mean, there are also, I know the parking lot, there is, I believe, 25,000, it might have been more than that, of monies that are there that should have been spent on some renovations with the parking lot, so.
Yep, so I can verify that with Paige, but specifically this was to the lighting shortfall and the 3rd court that was needed, and to add a retaining wall.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, just trying to make sure things get done. Commissioner Patrick?
No concerns about these 2 items and your next item as well. But I also want to just make sure the context is this is being handled through the mid-year budget discussions, or is this intended as sort of a one-off?
This is intended as a one-off, just to try to make sure that this is getting done.
Right, so how we would envision, I just jumped in, Madam Chair, I apologize. Yes, so Commissioner Messiah has approximately $400,000 remaining in her SPLOST account. The balance would come from funds that we're in the process of reallocating or proposing a reallocation from capital. Remember, I think we've had some conversation. We've been doing a lot of sweeping, or proposed sweeping, so we'd bring that back, and those 2 sources together would pay for this.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing this budget amendment to the board. I think it's a very important one. Zach, Director Bass or Paige, this is the center court, right? Because I think the issue is that we had allocated funds in the previous years, and this was like the next big Sugar Creek improvement. So you're just saying there's a shortfall to complete the total project that we'd already allocated funds for previously.
That's correct. The previous allocation.
Yeah.
Thank you. The previous allocation was $500,000 in order for us to move forward with the 3 courts. We are in a deficit. That's correct.
Okay, understood. Well, thank you, Commissioner Messiah, for working on this because we wouldn't want to allocate funds and just not use them. And so clearly that the lighting and the retention wall are very important. So, fully support this. And, I guess, Zach, are you, if they're able to approve this out of PECS today, are you able to work out the substitute for the next BOC? And we don't really need to have it in FAB, actually, at this point.
I'm pretty confident that we can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll just, Commissioner Messiah, so I think if y'all move forward with this to PECS today, hopefully we can have it on the next BOC and we don't have to have another FAB meeting to discuss it. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you so much. So, and what I'm hearing though is that there was $500,000, so that would have left a balance of essentially $300,000, not $400,000.
Right. So, if you could, if the commission would simply pass this out of PECS with the request for the administration to come back with the funding sources, and what we would effectively do, Commissioner Messiah, is spin down the balance of your SPLOST allocation, and then we would supplement what remains from swept capital.
Okay, so we'll have to talk more about that funding source and some of the needs, and just that it's gone largely undone, along with some other things related to this specific property for some time, and the intent is to get it done. So that's why I wanted to make sure I first reached out to Park and Rec to understand, after also meeting with the community and the leadership over there. So we'll talk about it, exactly what that looks like, but we will go ahead and move this along to the extent that my colleague is ready as well. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I apologize. Motion
No
to
worries.
approve.
Second.
1216.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. The next is 2026. This is again Board of Commissioners, District 3, 2026. 2019-1219, Commission District 3, budget amendment to increase the general fund for the for Parks and Recs for Porter Sanford Arts and Community Center to address required equipment improvements, an amount not to exceed $79,000. Thank you so much, Paige, again.
Recommended to approve. This has been to internal audit. If you recall from the last meeting, we did reduce the vendor 5, American Engineers. That was the reduction. So this is the new agenda item following the recommendation from internal audit. So our recommendation is to approve.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it again and appreciate you guys' work and being able to do those assessments and ascertain as we were coming before the board, my colleagues, everyone here, that we've done the preliminary work to find out what things are going to cost ahead of time. With that, Commissioner Patrick.
No questions, ready to make a motion.
Well, that's where we're at now. We're at Porter Sanford right now. So we approved the other, and now we're at Porter Sanford.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought we went down to the change order. I apologize. My bad.
No worries. Thank you, Commissioner Terry, for
So
that.
sorry.
No, the agenda item that I read ends in 1219, and this is related to Porter Sanford.
I apologize.
The amount not to exceed $79,000. No worries. Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Masai, for bringing this forward. And I mean, to me, this is an investment in a county facility that I know gets used a lot by us, but also I think community groups rent it. And so to me, Porter Sanford being really our kind of our premier, event space in DeKalb, the more that we invest in the technology and the capabilities like the theater and the other doodads that are on here, just hopefully makes it a better facility and more people want to rent it, and then we make more revenue. And so I think hopefully that's part of this equation, right? Investing in this, Director Bass makes it a better facility for the larger community, right?
Yes, sir, absolutely. This is a part of the assessment once we're requested. The arts director, Stephanie Range, did an assessment of what we need to focus on. So these were the recommendations that she brought forward.
Okay. Is there a larger review of Porter Sanford as a facility about how we need to update it, as the engine item says, 17 and a half years? Like I know, for instance, there was discussion about the theater having the ability for the seats to be basically removed, and that's just sort of like a concert venue kind of metric. If you can get people standing instead of sitting, you can have greater capacity, and you have more concert, types available. So, are y'all looking at the property inside and out for future enhancements or improvements?
So there's not a master planner or right now per se. However, I know Facilities has conducted an assessment of a lot of our facilities, and that was one of them. So there's something that we could potentially look to put together. But this list that was provided are priorities for operational things, not necessarily the bigger picture, but that is something that we can revisit with that facility assessment that was conducted.
Okay. And Madam Chair, if it's okay, just maybe Zach could come back to the committee with Parks and Rec and maybe Director Raines, because I know at one point, and I guess this is maybe like on the list for her to do, but just asking that question of, are we fully utilizing Porter Sanford? Are there aspects of the programming inside that are limited? And, just really kind of doing that plan for what we can
and that is something that
enhance.
we're working towards. So we do look forward to setting up a time and coming back and I guess presenting at PECS kind of thoughts and ideas for the renovation of Porter Sanford, future programming of Porter Sanford, and probably something similar, quite frankly, with the amphitheater at Calnwell. So those are both two tremendous assets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. And if I could have that assessment, it'd be great in the next 30 days. I know we've had conversations in terms of, and there's been, renovations money. There's been a budget for Calnwell. I have asked in the past that we have an ongoing budget for Porter Sanford. It has just seen exponential use and been largely, I would say, overutilized but under-supported. And, to the extent that we do have seniors that walk down the aisle and carpeting challenges or air conditioning that apparently is not controlled through the building facility itself. The gist of it is almost all of our colleagues, we use it quite often with a lot more use, and I would like for it to be able to be maintained so that when people do visit it and the gem that it is in DeKalb County, that it's sufficient and have what it needs. So thank you all for all of your efforts in trying to get that done. Thank you so much, colleagues, for your willingness to support trying to get this done as well. It's really critical, so thank you for that. With that, if there's nothing else, I am willing to entertain a motion on that agenda item. 1219.
Sorry, I thought we had already approved that. Motion to approve 1219.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Second, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. And we have another from Parks and Rec. That's agenda item 2026-0844. All Commission Districts change number 1 to contract number 200038, 200039, 200040, and 200045. Change order number 2 to contract number 200041 and change number 3 to contract number 200037, architecture and engineering services for Parks and Rec, multi-year for use by Department of Parks and Rec to obtain on-call agriculture and engineering design services, seeking to increase the contract funds awarded to American Eagles, Columbia Engineering, Foresight Group, Jericho Design, Kimberly and Horn, and WSB USA Environmental and Infrastructure Incorporated. The total amount not to exceed $3,297,250,000. And in my understanding, I do believe we have a substitute, and that there was a challenge with the coming back from audit, as it is in excess of our $3 million threshold, and that it was actually reduced.
That's correct, if we could rewind everything I said before. So sorry for the confusion again. But yes, based on internal audits findings, we have made a reduction to American engineers. So that new amount is in the UD form.
Okay, fantastic. Commissioner Patrick.
No concerns. Mr. Campbell's team has taken a look at this, and the on-call engineering services, I think, valuable for the department.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Terry.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. And so it looks like for all of them except Jericho, they're just doing the C1 Parks and Rec categories. I guess that's just general projects in parks.
I believe, is Chris still here? Sir? SPLOST 2. Because of SPLOST 2, there's different category numbers.
Right, I see C1 and C2. I assume they're both SPLOST 2, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the C2 is for the Alice White Bussy, so I believe that's out of the different category for the buildings.
Yep, I see that. Okay, that's what I was, just trying to delineate. So the C2 Jericho is going to handle the Alice White Bussy Intergenerational Park Center, and then the C1 is just other park projects.
Correct, out of the engineering category for SPLOST 2, correct.
Great, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you.
With that, I'm willing to entertain a motion.
He washes his gray out. He washes his gray out.
Commissioner Patrick, Lord have mercy, Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Well, you both got the beards going on and mustache, so, that friendly thing is over. You both were.
Okay. Motion to approve 0844
Thank you so much.
from District 1.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I appreciate it. Moving on. The next agenda item is 2026-0802. And we have the substitute coming. All Commission Districts change order number 1 to contract number 1347014, Geographic Information Systems Enterprise License Agreement, sole source for the use of a GIS to obtain the use of proprietary software that allows the county the capacity to create publicly accessible GIS maps, dashboard maps, deploy software, and is fully integrated into other departmental workflows and business systems. Seeking increase in contract funds and term through November 13th, 2029, awarded to Environmental Systems Research Institute, ESRI, Inc., amount not to exceed $3,900,000. Great afternoon, Director Stacey.
Great afternoon, Commissioner. And how's everybody doing? Commissioner Patrick, Commissioner Terry?
Very good. Like your beard, sir. Just
Thank you. So this is just a change order to the 3-year enterprise agreement for the contract. It was $2.25 million. Now it's gone up to maybe 3.9 for a 3-year deal. And we're just asking the board for approval.
Thank you for that so much. Thank you for the work that you do. I know Commissioner Patrick sings you guys praises all the time. You know, he is our resident tech geek, and you know, is able to advise us like, hey, if you just look at GIS, this is what comes. So, you know, he sings your praises often. Thank you for the work that you are doing, Commissioner Patrick.
Director Greer, it's good to see you again. Thank you for this presentation. One question, and
Yes,
I think we may have talked about this years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to integrate our GIS with either Apple Map or Google Maps where we can get the overlays of the different districts in that software, and then it's a little easier if you're driving to say, hey Siri, I need to get to this address. Not you, Siri. But
See, what did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Question.
In case.
Is there a reason that you want Google Maps as opposed to what we already have?
Just simply, or Apple Maps, and just simply for the reason of if I'm driving, it's easier to say whatever the address is and plug it in and then get to it.
Okay. I think we can even do better.
Okay.
Simply because our imagery is a little more up to date than Google or Apple.
Yeah. Okay.
Of course, we fly on an annual basis. Those companies do not. So their data is a little, more obsolete compared. Kind of tooting our own horn, but
Yep.
we have a little more up-to-date data than
Understood.
they do. So that's something we can work on.
Okay. Okay. It would be helpful again if a resident calls up and says, "Hey, I've got a stormwater issue, or my trash can's broken, or whatever the items are that comes up, a dead deer." It's easier, like I said, while driving, to be able to plug that in and just make sure I know where the district line is. And
You mean through voice activation?
through voice activation?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
We're looking at that. Sure will.
Thank you, Commissioner Patrick. See, now we're really getting fancy. but great to hear that we're on the cutting edge. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, to Commissioner Patrick's question, I feel, I definitely feel you, because I think most people just like have one of those apps on their phone and they just like they'll just pull it up, right? So, I feel like there was some way to do, and maybe this is just where you can just work with the individual commissioners, like on our websites, where we would have the Google map embedded with our district layers on it, and it's like a saved map or something. There's something in Google and I think Apple where you can create your own map, but it has like a GIS layer. So maybe could your team help work with us to create that?
We sure can.
So that way it's just like literally it's like a Google map embed on your website, and it has the map lines overlaid automatically.
So let me ask this: when you use the term Google, are you talking about the street level imagery, or are you talking about the ortho imagery in Google?
The ortho, I guess, just the satellite view looking at lines that are
That's what I thought you were
strong
talking
lines.
about. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to me that's just like an easy way, because sometimes like it's a jigsaw puzzle for our district. Someone says, "Oh, who's my commissioner?" And we do send them the GIS map, but people do just have Google, and I think just different technology comfort levels. If someone could just go to our website here, and you can literally just it's already there, and they could just zoom in, and that way it's just easier for them to work it instead of logging the GIS.
It's a matter of probably just embedding those services within our our services, because it's nothing but a KML.
Gotcha.
Just embedded
Okay.
into it.
Okay. So Zach, it sounds like Director Greer is going to help us. Each commissioner's website is going to have an embedded Google map, maybe Apple too. I don't know. Maybe we can do both. Ask the commissioners, and then that way it's on our website, and the district lines are already layered into there. Okay, cool. All right,
Yes, sir.
awesome. And then I do want to point out, because I did talk to, and thank you for setting this up for Eagle View.
Yes, sir.
So at NACO, the Eagle View company had a booth, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And it's not a satellite image, it's an airplane image. Okay. And so what's interesting about Eagle View is you can see 360 at a, you want to explain it real quick?
Yes, it's what they call oblique imagery.
Oblique.
So you can see it from every vantage point, north, south, east, and west, as well as orthogonal.
Right.
So and we've been using it probably since 2009.
Yeah, you said it was 17 years. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah, we've been
I never
using
knew
it for
about
a
it.
while.
But I asked them, and they were like, oh, yeah, DeKalb says here, DeKalb
Oh, yeah,
user.
we've been using it for a while. So they're actually a company that do our aerial capture every year.
Oh, okay.
So, and they did our planimetrics. They do all our contours and everything.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay, all right, I just never knew, but anyway, so commissioners just asked Director Greer for a login, because I think for me, it's like helpful for, I think for two things. One, for like land use and zoning cases, you can, because right now the satellite maps in GIS, it's all satellite, but the Eagle View allows you to actually rotate around the property and parcel. So I think it just helps with like contextualizing,
Yes.
different development projects. And then to me, it made like code compliance and public safety made the most sense to have access to
exactly.
it.
You'd be amazed how many jurisdictions, public safety jurisdictions, use that orthogonal imagery for
Yeah.
their responses as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Exactly.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Patrick.
Final question. And this may not be a GIS, but I'm still going to ask the question.
Okay.
The city of Dunwoody has see-click fix. Is there any way that GIS can integrate a see-click fix option for our residents to be able to report whatever the issue is?
And we've kind of looked at that. That's a third-party software.
Yep.
We do have the capability of doing that in-house. The only thing it would concerns me is the back end of it, and integrating that with the different departments, and like with City Works departments that use City Works.
Okay.
Would you like to come up? I see you looking because we're talking about integration. So we're talking about the technology aspect, and I'm looking at.
And again, the whole basis of the question is it's super easy.
Right.
If you're taking a walk, pull out your phone, take a picture, upload it.
It is.
And then.
And we kind of looked at this before, and it's just getting all the different departments coordinated, because once you add a lot of residents capturing those items,
It's go
they're
time.
going to get inundated with that.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's one
Director
of the
Shelton. Okay, and congratulations,
Thank you so much. Thank
by the
you.
way, yes. So, and I saw you, and please, feel free to weigh in.
So yes, as far as the integration and which application that the county wants to move towards, I mean, we're also doing some evaluations on 311 C-click fix type systems now.
Yeah.
We do have a system already in place called Oracle right now that's integrated with GIS currently. But we're looking to do more as far as giving the citizens the capability to report these issues via phone or via a better web page. So we are in talks right now to get a new system.
Okay. And again, I'm not married to a particular vendor, but the concept of that ease of being able to say, anywhere in the county, I'm a resident going for a walk in the neighborhood or driving down the street, I see something, I can click on it, get it over to the elected official as well as the administration and say, I need this fixed in my neighborhood. That's the
Yes.
goal. In my mind, that's the goal to have.
That's the vision, but we have to make sure we're able to handle those requests internally first before we just roll out a brand new system and then it explodes and we can't handle the tickets.
Do we have maybe a time frame idea when something like this might be functional?
Yeah, so I think speaking to the operational side in terms of handling the workflow, give us let us come back to PWI to discuss that, because quite frankly, the overwhelming majority is going to be sanitation or solid waste, watershed, roads and drainage.
Potholes,
you know,
yeah, stormwater, something like that.
Those particular departments. So we'll come back maybe in the next 45 days to talk through how we would be prepared to receive those. The technology part, as Director or CIO just mentioned, he's prepared to put a system in place, a technology in place, but we just need to operationally be able to receive, assign, and complete the work. And that's the part we're working on. And quite frankly, some of the work that the Momentum firm is doing in conjunction, or as far as implementing the Malden and Jenkins study, deals with some of that. So it's all part of what we're working on.
I've never been yelled at because we got
I've been
a pothole
yelled at
fixed.
a lot.
Well, wait a second. I get yelled at by my wife all the time, but because a pothole or a garbage can issue is taken care of like within hours, which oftentimes happens through the departments. Residents actually appreciate that level of responsiveness, and if there's any way that we need to, as a board, ensure that you guys need what you need to be able to carry out that mission, that is a goal.
Thank you, Commissioner. As a matter of fact, the board has done what is necessary by the votes, whether it's the water, sewer rate, the roads and drain. Each of those votes will help us to ensure that we have the staff and the systems in place to implement this.
Perfect. Thank you. 45 days.
There-
Thank you.
I heard it. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry to stay on this topic. It's not directly related to the agenda item, but I do think we have been kind of, dancing around just something that I think a lot of jurisdictions have done, which is just hire a third-party software system like SeeClickFix and to just implement it. So what I would request is some sort of side-by-side comparison where there might be an in-house fix or idea with Oracle, there might be a SeeClickFix. I mean, NACO and ACCG have probably like 3 or 4 other companies that basically do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think what would be most helpful to me and sort of my constituents is allowing us to look at the different solutions and maybe provide some feedback on what is the most user-friendly, the most integrated, and let's try some out. Or I'm a little wary of like the in-house internal fixes because I don't know. I think part of the solution that the average person is looking for is something that's very easy to navigate, and sometimes these companies that's sort of their business. They take the architecture of what CIO is talking about, and then they gussy it up to make it user friendly. And whether you like just the name SeeClickFix, it sounds very easy. Oh, great, SeeClickFix. That's so simple.
311 has a good reputation as well. Here, if there was a solution like that. So
is it possible to just share with the committee members or commissioners in general, I guess, just like here the 3 or 4 different solutions we're looking at, and just compare them side by side? And I mean, maybe y'all can just do an RFQ or something and just figure out, what we're trying to get to. I feel like I've heard we've been working on this internal solution since Commissioner Patrick and I got on the board, because you introduced the idea of SeeClickFix your very first year, and I was like, that's great, let's do it, because I think other cities have used it as well, and I don't know, maybe people like it or don't like it, but and I guess I'm looking at you, but looking at Zach. Like if the internal solution is the solution, like say here's what it's going to look like and how long it'll take to deploy. But if there's a quicker, more efficient solution that's already like in the business of doing these type of things, let's consider those options, and maybe we can hone in on that decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry, and essentially just give us options once you guys have further discussion. And within 45 days, though, and appreciate you, Director Greer. Commissioner Patrick.
Since we've got the team here, I got to throw one more item out there.
Okay.
And this may be PWI. We get frequent reports of water line breaks throughout the districts. And I forget the young lady's name, but she's our DEMA person. And yes. And I threw the question at her, is there a way we can geofence a neighborhood when there's a water line break? Or there's a sewer issue or a trash can, whatever, but
We can do it pretty easy.
and I appreciate the emails to me, but it might be better if we could just do a text in the area, or if people have an email address that's on file with water and sewer, just say, hey, the two different systems have talked to each other, and we find you're within 500 feet of this issue. Here's an email. Here's a text message that says, water's out, water's on. That would be, I think, very helpful for us. Okay.
We definitely have that capability. I think that probably the toughest part will be building a database with that information in there, with the residents, whether it's a telephone number or an email address. So, and then we can create that geofence around whatever area that needs to be created.
Okay.
And then you send those alerts out.
That would be ideal. Yeah.
We have a server software called GeoEvent, and it tracks all real-time
Okay.
analytics, and it actually sends SMS messages out, whether it's email or text messages like this.
Right.
And that's part of the Esri suite of software.
Well, there you go. And I know that Commissioner Patrick, he's been sharing his desire for this. I know we've heard it, several times. So, yeah.
Stacy, we may have to get you a District 1 wrestling belt for that one. That's next level, man. That is next level.
Gotta love it.
Anyway, but thank you, Madam Chair. And
So
right, cool.
anything real time,
Okay.
that software allows you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Director Greer, CIO. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is.
Yes. With that, I will entertain a motion on the substitute.
Motion to approve the substitute for 0802.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
The next agenda item, that is Board of Commissioners District 3, 2026-0550, Commission District 3, to adopt an ordinance to amend the code of DeKalb County to address public safety, drifting, unauthorized camping, and certain nuisance behavior areas. And I'll just briefly speak to this. It's been on our agenda for some time. Initially, went through the process and having discussions with legal. There were some concerns that colleagues were having. In addition, I believe some others. Those have been addressed. I haven't heard anything additional, not unless legal's heard anything recent from anyone else, and I am ready to move forward as long as my other committee member feels comfortable with doing so as well. And I see we have Chief Pedrick, here. Just make sure, we're good and there's no other. Great afternoon, Chief.
Good afternoon, ma'am, commissioners.
Yes.
So my concerns were from an operational enforcement perspective. I did have the opportunity to speak with legal, and we are good to go. If it's the board's pleasure to pass this ordinance, then we'll be prepared to enforce it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that and your due diligence, just trying to make sure things are as clear as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Commissioner Patrick.
Chief, I guess just to make sure, or Mr. Phillips, you guys have completed your review and you're comfortable moving forward?
I have had all my questions answered through legal, so I'm
You're good.
prepared.
Is legal good?
We can approve this as the form should the body elect to adopt this.
Okay. I know that this has been controversial in some communities. I think Athens, Clark County actually recently had an opportunity to discuss this, and they did not go forward with it. But from the state legislature, we sort of are loaded with two tasks. One, concern and compassion for our homeless folks or people who have stumbled into a less fortunate portion of their lives, balanced with what the legislature said, which is essentially you have to be able to address homelessness in your communities. I think with the budget we passed, the HIB in particular has a component for engaging and addressing the homelessness issue. There's the most definitely the South Day Center and contemplations for the one on the north side as well. So I feel like the county is walking in that right direction, but perhaps this is the belt and suspenders that says we have something on the books that talks about addressing the issue, and we have the financing in place and programs in place to be able to address the homelessness concerns that are out there. So that is my understanding, and then with you two gentlemen saying that you're comfortable where the legislation has been written, I'm fine moving forward at this point.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, very much so, trying to be forward-thinking in addressing and understanding, the state legislatures and some of the things that have been put in place, and our responsibility in terms of government in addressing certain challenges and making sure that we can execute on public safety to the best of our ability and be mindful of any potential hindrance, and of course protecting the residents and the citizens of DeKalb County. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chief, I think the other thing that was brought up in the last committee was just the SOP on how you're handling situations, because in section E and F, it says prior notice will be provided a minimum of 24 hours before the removal of personal property, except where immediate safety concerns require urgent action. And then before the removal of any camping sites, the local government will engage in outreach efforts to inform individuals of available services and opportunities to retrieve their belongings. So I think what wasn't clear to me in these two sections was, so this is addressing removal of camping sites, which I understand, but is there an SOP on arresting someone who's in a public space camping?
No, sir, not at this time. Currently, we have laws in place to address a lot of these issues. And as a practice, we understand the challenges of the unhoused, and we do have policy in place as far as diversions and providing services prior to arrest. Arrest is always the last resort, as I've mentioned before. But currently, with this ordinance, we would have to write something specific to address those concerns as far as departmental policy. Currently, we do have policy in place, but it is not directly related to this ordinance.
Okay. Well, I think that would be important before passing a law. In a way, I feel like, not to criticize the ordinance, Commissioner Messiah, but I feel like y'all are already, you have procedures to just address homelessness in general, private property versus, public property. Maybe this is refining the definitions. But I think what I would like to hear from the police department before I might support this ordinance is what that SOP would look like.
Yes, sir.
And it's simply to say that, in most situations, or I shouldn't even say that, in some situations, it might be the thing we're already doing, which is sending out, Tommy and his team, right, to talk to people, or Claritel through the crisis team to work with them. And then there's the 1013 and 1014, right? Those are options sort of in this situation of a crisis. So I wouldn't want us to send a signal that we're passing this ordinance means now if you're camping on site, you're going to be arrested immediately. I think the 24-hour notice seems like that's the first SOP is just, hey, we're going to let people know you can't be here, and we're going to give you 24 hours to leave, basically. But if not, we're going to come back. But I wanted to just hear from y'all how you would approach any arrestable type incident. Would it be someone just literally is refusing to leave, right? Is that an arrest? Is it a temporary, moving someone and you're not arresting them? So just trying to understand how you would approach different scenarios so we are crystal clear that this is not a blanket ordinance that everyone gets arrested no matter what. It actually depends on 10 different scenarios probably.
And it does, and every situation is different. But from my perspective, operationally, we would not change our approach based on the ordinance. I mean, what we are doing now would not holistically change. But it would require us to go through and really look at our SOPs to delineate that, to make sure that we are practicing the same measures that we are today.
Okay. I think that would be important for the police department to outline before we approve this, but if the committee's ready to move forward on it, I understand. But for me, I think it would be important before the BOC acts to just understand the implications of the law and how it will be implemented. And then I will just give a plug for us working on the diversion center concept. That's something in FAB that we've been working on with the Sheriff's Office, Claritel, the state DBHDD, about just a place where if someone does get detained, they're not taken to the jail. They're taken to a diversion center that could receive 1013, 1014, or other situations that might be related to urban camping. And my main concern is that we don't send more people to jail who right now we know if there's a mental health issue or a substance abuse issue, they're in like a 400-day waiting line before DBHD will even screen them. And so the last committee, we reported that we're spending $28 million in the sheriff's budget to handle a population of about 700 people annually in the jail who fit that criteria simply for criminal trespass on private property. So if we add public property to that list, does that 700 go to 800 to 900? And then that increases the sheriff's budget. That's all jail funds. We can't use Medicare, Medicaid, grants. Like, we have to use jail funds to provide that mental health and other treatment programs, whereas the diversion center concept would cost approximately $8 million. So I'm just trying to weigh the balance of what's fiscally responsible, what's the most effective plan for dealing with treatment, right? And if there's other issues involved. If someone's urban camping because they're just like, screw it, I like camping, okay, well, maybe you ought to move on. But if there's underlying issues of why they're homeless and why they're there, I'm looking for us to address that treatment and mental health first before incarceration. Does that make sense, Chief Patriot?
And why that discussion
I'll yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, taking place. I think there's a presumption that it ought that the individuals that may be urban camping, and there's a focus, and I'm not quite certain why, but there is a heightened emphasis on urban camping when, again, it's specific to the particular behaviors, and not everyone that is engaged in certain type of behaviors, particularly that are seen as a threat to the community, are driven by substance abuse or mental health challenges. As with any ordinance that we have, anything related to a criminalization, if you will, and potential arrests, our officers, our DeKalb County finest, have discretion as to whether or not to arrest. And so that doesn't change whether it is a trespassing or some other type of nuisance. And so they have the discretion as they are on the scene and engaging in a circumstance to identify whether the best course at that point is an arrest or whether or not there's a warning or a verbal command as to what should happen, and how I think to focus on just, because there are folks that engage behaviors that are a threat that are found within the ordinance that aren't necessarily urban camping. That's just a component of it, and making sure that we have the discretion for our officers to address and for us to address the public safety concerns related to it. With that, I believe that Interim County Attorney has some thoughts as well. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to I wanted to offer one comment.
Yeah.
I understand the request from Commissioner Terry. I fully follow your logic. I just ask that any specific hypothets you wanted to discuss with the police chief and law enforcement, we would discuss those offline. The general nature of what the policy might say and how a policy is crafted bleeds into the police department, making sure all policy will be certified as they go through with their policy manual and the like. But specific hypothets in a public forum, I'd ask that we not do that. Okay. That was it, Commissioner.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Patrick.
I guess about 2 years ago, we had a conversation about not wanting to have arresting homelessness as the first option that we approach. Some of the reasons, as Commissioner Terry pointed out, is the cost. Jail does not help a mental health issue versus a diversion program. I'm wondering if there was a reference to the policy that was approved by the board and you had a chance to look over, Chief, if there was a reference into that, Commissioner Terry, is that something that could get you closer to yes?
Well, I think
because at the end of the day, the issue is
yeah.
you know, if someone is behaving in a way that jail is the only option, that I think that's necessary. But I also myself agree that, you know, we do need to find ways to make sure that that jail is not the first option. And I know that the chief, as well as the sheriff, who's kind of commented on this topic as well, has weighed in on some of the troubles of just saying everybody goes to jail. But if we acknowledge that idea of the county already has I guess it was a resolution that we approved.
We did the joint policy statement.
The joint policy statement. If that might be does that get you closer to yes? Or alleviate some of your concerns?
Well, I think in reference to the diversion center concept, I think the 1013 and 1014 situation is what I'm looking for in this ordinance. And that might just be the SOP, or it just might be something that you kind of naturally will do anyways. If someone's in a crisis or there needs to be involuntary detainment, you know, here's how we're going to handle it, and we'll handle it on private property, public property. It's like we'll handle it as part of the DeKalb Police Department's policy, how we address these issues. So that, I think that would help because it's acknowledging that the situations that do require treatment, incarceration is not really the solution. It's not really going to get us anywhere. But I guess to Commissioner Messiah's point, if there's someone violating this ordinance and there aren't mental health, substance abuse issues, and it's simply a matter of someone, you know, just simply, I will not leave, then hopefully there's an opportunity, like we say here, to, you know, provide outreach, to provide, you know, services, right? We have the day center, we have our housing, the transitional housing, you know, plan. So those are things I think that help give us options. And the last thing I will say though is I'm still, it does seem like we're not, and this is more for Zach, that I don't know if we're quite there in we have sort of the full suite of homeless services. Because, and that's my only concern, is that if we pass this, we're sort of creating a system that only has one off-put, and that's incarceration or in jail, versus actually we only have the day center, and you can go to Frontline for a warming center, and then, but we don't have a house for you, we don't have a transitional facility, we don't have a crisis center, we don't have a permanent supportive housing. Right. So it just becomes a thing where we might say, oh, we'll eventually get to this one day. But in the meantime, the police might enforce this and say, like, our only option right now is incarceration for violating this particular ordinance.
And I'm just going to say briefly that, and I appreciate all of the dialogue in and around it. I believe wholeheartedly in our law enforcement and the work that they do for our community, for our citizens. Every day, our officers go out there and they have to make decisions on behalf of the residents and use their discretion, their compassion, their emotion, their experiences, their training to do what is best on behalf of our community, of our county, of our constituents, and of themselves and their colleagues. So they have a discretion to decide what is best given the circumstances and the situation that they find themselves in, and that they are trying to prevent the public from having to experience in a way that's adverse to the public. And so they already employ a number, because I've stood out there myself for hours with 7 of our officers as someone was having a crisis driving by, and asked, do we need to reach out to Claritel, waiting for someone else, mobile crisis unit, to show up, literally standing out in the sun, as they took due care and diligence to make sure that this young lady that was on the ground having a crisis it was not escalated into anything that was criminal, because clearly she was having a mental health breakdown. And so I've seen our officers directly. I don't think that to put something in place that further protects our communities, particularly, I'll say it is prevalent, what we're speaking of is more prevalent in certain areas versus others. They have mechanisms in place, they have training in place, and consideration in place as to whether or not someone is arrested. It doesn't go from 0 to 60 where someone's immediately arrested, and just because there's an ordinance in place that addresses additional public safety concerns that we have, particularly as people are trying to sometimes be rescued in areas that they can't get to because of urban camping. And we have other constituents that are put in harm's way because of other vagrancy and other type of behaviors, that we don't trust our officers. That is the last thing that I want to spend any amount of additional time suggesting, when I trust them wholeheartedly. I know they're doing the work, I know they have the training, and they don't just escalate from 0 to 60 to start arresting folks just because there's an ordinance that may lend itself to that possibility. I don't want to sit up here and think that we should be policing the police and as they're going in and have to identify every scenario, every situation, every circumstance where it may lead to an arrest, and be able to have a SOP for that before we put forth things that are going to protect our community. We have things in place. We're constantly working on our unhoused individuals, day centers, North DeKalb, South DeKalb, all different type of programs. We just, moved through committee additional pharmacy opportunities for serving Claritel that serves our community. What we don't want to do is act like our officers can't do their job in engaging whether or not someone should be arrested, and it doesn't mean they're going to be just because there's an ordinance in place that protects our constituents. With that, I yield back to myself. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will just add that and Chief Patriot, this is maybe something for you just to help us understand how you approach. So I'm definitely a proponent of officer discretion. I think that y'all, you utilize that to its fullest to avoid incarceration of individuals who are homeless or in a crisis. My only concern is that if the Board of Commissioners passes a law that says this is something that we're really concerned about, that the police department might feel the need to say, well, we have to enforce the law. And I have heard this in the past says, well, that's the law, we have to enforce it. So, it really comes to a question of, if the police department already has policies in place to deal with urban camping, are there something with those policies that aren't working? But with the addition of an ordinance that is saying it is illegal, does that mean officers might actually feel compelled to enforce the law versus exercising the discretion that they currently have? And that's an open question. I know that kind of depends, but I don't know. I mean, how, if we pass a law, do you give orders to the officers saying this is the new law and we're going to have to start enforcing it? And this is kind of, again, why I come back to the SOP, because if you said, here's the new SOP, if this law is passed, here's how we will do things, and maybe it changes, maybe there's some things you might change, then that would, I think, give us clarity on what the law actually is doing. And then to Commissioner Messiah's point, which I totally agree, we should give you all the discretion, and I hope that is communicated. So if the law had an SOP sort of as like an attachment or an appendix, I think ourselves and anyone in the public would understand that this is not a criminalizing homelessness law. It is a clarifying the ordinance and the law, but then here's how we actually approach it. So that's where I'm coming from, Chief. I just want to make sure, I want to give you all the discretion because every situation is different, but I also don't want you to feel that we're telling you have to go and clean up every campsite and start bulldozing places. Because I think the tone is that we want to address homelessness in the evidence-based way, which is treatment, which is housing, which is all the supportive services. Thank you.
Let's hope there's no bulldozing. Commissioner. Thank you for saying that. That's really important for everyone to understand.
With that, Commissioner Patrick.
What I'd like to do is I'm going to propose a motion that we advance this. I'm going to ask that there is a reference added to that joint statement that was produced about a year or two ago. And then the full board can take a look at it next week or the week after and make a determination if that does the objectives that we're trying to spell out very clearly.
I second that. And also to make clear, I don't know why there's an emphasis on just urban camping when there's other components to it. And there's nothing in the ordinance that says that an officer shall arrest. So I just want to make sure that, yes, it is clear officers, of course, they follow the law and are responsible for ensuring that our community follows the law as well, but nothing says that they shall arrest, that they're under obligation to arrest, and that it's mandatory that they arrest. That's part of the discretion that we don't have to give them, but that they have when they take an oath of office as an officer, and that they already have. That's not a power that the Board of Commissioners has to provide them.
Madam Chair, may I comment?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I just want to be clear, Commissioner Patrick, the Law Department will happily work with the Police Department for the additional reference you're asking for in this ordinance. We've worked closely with Commissioner Messiah's team on the drafting, and we'd just like to be involved to make sure we keep track of what's there.
Okay.
Okay.
I would not draft it. I'm relying on you, just to be clear.
We will.
Okay. All right.
I didn't want to step on any toes.
Okay.
Make sure you were
Understood.
okay with that.
Understood. So again,
Entertain a motion.
motion to approve with language referencing the joint policy statement addressing homelessness in DeKalb County from about a year or two ago. And this will advance it to the Board of Commissioners.
And so I'd like to, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I did understand there was a second item on the to-do list, which really came first in your deliberation today. Commissioner Terry, I understood you wanted at least a draft policy on how procedure will work with this, and it'll be general, it won't be specific to any hypothet, but just something for discussion, right? If you don't want that, that's fine. I'm just trying to be clear what you're asking for.
Well, I was just and this is, again, I'm not on the committee, so we can talk more about it at the VOC, but that was my suggestion, Commissioner Patrick, is that Chief Padrick, if the law is passed, how you'll implement it. And I think that would just help us understand the implications. And, you know, I think just having that information, I think, would help us see into the future of
at least
how
a
things.
draft SOP and some discussion. Is that a fair characterization of your ask?
Yeah, Chief, is that what you were referring to? It would be just how y'all handle this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's great. Let's do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Patrick.
I think we might actually be moving in a direction, maybe, together. But just for clarity, Chief, also, or Attorney Phillips, if you guys could also prepare or give us a copy of that joint statement, that joint policy statement that was from some time ago, so it refreshes people's minds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
The next agenda item is Board of Commissioners District 6, 2025-0015, all commission districts, an ordinance to amend the Code of DeKalb County, Georgia, 16 pertaining to the regulation of sound and for other purposes. Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I think Mr. Petty can come up very briefly and just, again, remind the committee that there's two choices here that will dictate how we move this to the full board for consideration. Do we go with the plainly audible, or do you go with the decibel levels? And so I think that's really what we're looking for today, committee members, is if you'd like to go to the decibel route, like we have that draft ready. If you want to stick with the plainly audible, we have that ready. So committee's discretion, I'm open to either just to keep this conversation moving forward to the full board.
I don't mean to silence Mr. Petty. He's done the heavy lift on this, but
Yes,
our
yes.
team has gone over it. we have prepared both versions,
Yep.
and both are in a form that we are happy to approve. So Commissioner Terry's characterization is exactly accurate. We need to know which one you want to move forward with.
Commissioner Patrick.
I would be comfortable with the decimal reader version. Obviously, our other colleague is not here right now, but that's what I would be comfortable with.
And I will yield to what the author of this desires. Do you prefer, or is it your suggestion that we use the decimal meter or the plainly audible?
Yes, I would suggest the decibel, just simply because I think the enforceability is going to be easier. I know there'll be some equipment stuff we have to work out, but I do think that might help make it a very clear and clean enforcement for police and code compliance. Thank you.
COO.
Yes, thank you. And just for the record, in case it was forgotten, I just want to make it clear that staff's position is that plainly audible works best, but we will implement whatever the board votes on.
All right. Then my recommendation is going to be plainly audible. Again, that goes back to the idea of the discretion of our officers that come out and they're hearing. But again, we entrust in our officers. That's the whole point. And so mine will be for the plainly audible. I know that not only would it be a concern related to the initial purchase of the equipment, but then the costs associated with the maintenance of it, then being able to have specific guidelines as to how often those devices would need to be calibrated to estimate how many of our officers and which officers would actually have those particular equipment, what happens if the equipment fails in some way. I mean, there's just a number of challenges there. I'm supporting the suggestion of staff, which would be the plainly audible, and yield to your thoughts, Commissioner Patrick, if you have any additional.
Well, I say we punt until Michelle gets back here.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that's just, she's a commissioner, she gets to weigh in, and she needs to be part of that. And
Absolutely. So do we want to hold this in committee?
well, yeah, I think that's probably.
All right. Not unless Commissioner Terry, do you have anything additional?
No, I think that's great. It'd be great to have a committee decision. So since we don't have a majority on this decision, yeah, let's just wait until the full board's here or full committee's here.
Fantastic. The next agenda item is 2025-0017. All commission districts, a resolution to create an electric landscape maintenance device rebate program to encourage switching from gas-powered landscape maintenance devices and for all other lawful purposes. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you. This one is really related to the previous item, but just a reminder, the general idea is that a lot of the noise that is above those 65 decibels is coming from gas leak blowers, and other jurisdictions have implemented rebate programs that basically just encourage and incentivize residents to switch over to electric powered, which are below the 65 decibels on average. So, this is something that would probably be in a future budget year, so I don't see as a huge hurry to move forward on this. If the ordinance if the sound ordinance previous item is approved, I think the rebate program goes hand in hand with it. If the sound ordinance is not approved or is denied, then this item might still be relevant, but I think they kind of go hand in hand, so I'd be happy to wait for Commissioner Longspears to come back and then weigh in on this item as well.
Yep.
That's fine. we will hold that in committee. And I know we have two items left. We're just going to really quickly, before I forget, go back to page 2. Under planning sustainability, that's 2026-1190, all commission districts. Application of the Director of Planning Sustainability to request that the Board of Commissioners approve a resolution for renewal of the service delivery strategy for DeKalb County, Georgia. Deputy Director Bragg, thank you so much for joining us.
Thought we forgot about you.
I wasn't hoping. I'm glad that you were able to call it. Excellent. We have a very short presentation. So we are here to discuss the service delivery strategy, and you're reading that right. It is 2022. So the planning department has been working on this for a few years, but we are excited to come before you and ask for your recommendation of approval today. Next slide. There we go. So the purpose of the 2022 SDS update and the purpose of all SDS service delivery strategies is to encourage city and county officials to strive for efficiency in the provision of government services by carefully evaluating provided services to identify overlaps or gaps and improve the overall quality of life. Here is your background. So House Bill 489 requires that each local government have a Department of Community Affairs verified SDS strategy. And non-compliance, what does non-compliance mean? Non-compliance potentially means not being eligible for state administered financial assistance grants, loans, or permits, both for the county and for the municipalities. What triggered the SDS update? The SDS updates can be triggered by a number of things. Ours was triggered by our comprehensive plan update, which is one of 6 reasons that we may be required to update our SDS. Here is a slightly blurry version of our process. So you negotiate the services between DeKalb County and the city representatives. That is something the administration has done. Then you come to an agreement regarding those services, draft the SDS, and then we're here today on step number 4, which is SDS review and adoption. After approval by this body, we would submit the SDS to the DCA. They would review it, hopefully approve it, and then we would once again maintain our qualified local government status. Here is what's inside the 1,000+ page packet that is attached in Legistar, which is why you don't have that printed out in front of you. There are 5 required forms for each service. So here, let me just flip this. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Here's where we are in the project timeline. So in April, we started review of outstanding items and coordinated with the administration and the cities. We had law review it, and then we are targeting September for our adoption. The deadline to submit to have everything finalized by DCA is October 31st. So we are ahead of deadline and we would like to keep it that way. Here is the completion status for all of our various municipalities. The only one that we had pending when we began this process again in April was actually Tucker. So the good news is Tucker did approve their portion of the SDS by resolution on July 14th. The mayor signed that, and so after that completed, all of the municipalities agreeing to their version of the SDS, and so now we're bringing it to you for review and approval. Next steps, so we have checked our final IGAs, we have compiled all the city resolutions, and after approval by this board, we will submit it to DCA for review, receive DCA verification, and then again receive our continuation of our qualified local government status. So the agreed upon SDS ensures that there is no duplication of services and formalizes the working partnership between the city and DeKalb County governments. I think that, again, it's very small on here, but I think that this matrix is really the best way to show you exactly what we're talking about in the SDS. On the left-hand side, you will see all of the different potential services that DeKalb offers. Across the top, you will see the different municipalities, and then each box in the row will tell you whether that municipality is direct, meaning the jurisdiction provides its own service, DC, meaning that the counter is the sole provider of this service, or A, that the authority has been decided. Let me go back to you on that. So that is the way to read your matrix, and provides essentially a summary of the 1,000 pages of forms that are included in your packets. So happy to answer questions as I can or collaborate on answers to those questions.
Thank you so much, Deputy Director Bragg. Commissioner Patrick, do you have any questions?
I do have a couple questions. I'm generally familiar with SDS, and I'll say that a county nearby at one point did not have their SDS approved in time.
Yeah.
And even the police department was affected in that they were not able to operate radar detectors and had to collaborate with the sheriff's office to be able to do that. So it is something that would be impactful for the county as well as all of the cities. Under under public safety, so there's police basic, police non-basic, and obviously animal control. Can you explain what is non-basic and basic police services? I don't know if that's something for the chief.
It's like SWAT and helicopters and all the other stuff.
Equestrian.
Equipment.
Actually, I wish TJ were here, but one of them, I think that, I don't remember if it's basic or non-basic, but I think including extra services, helicopters, SWAT, and so forth, that's one. And the other one is, I believe, direct police service, like patrol and so forth only.
Okay, all right. If there was an emergency and a city said
there's also
they're doing
mutual
it all,
aid agreements.
that was my
Mutual
question.
aid agreements.
Mutual aids are there for
Yeah.
backups just in case things go in the wrong direction.
And I will get you exactly which is which.
Okay. Is there time for us to maybe have this go one cycle, like we hold it in committee and then we come back to the next?
Yes, our target for adoption was September.
Okay.
So we're definitely open. We just wanted to get the conversation started and see what questions you may have so we can ensure we have answers where needed.
I guess maybe the easiest thing, at least for myself, might be is if we could set up a Zoom meeting and then just line and verse go through this. I don't want to tie up the committee's time or other commissioners' time, but just the understanding of where the divisions of responsibility are going to be. And otherwise, I'm comfortable with it.
Happy to do so.
Thank you so much. Do you have more?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I think it's good just to give us a little bit of time just to go over that. But I think what you said basically was this 2022 agreement hasn't changed since 2022. It's just that Tucker, I guess, hadn't finished their portion. And
Correct.
Was that like because of the stormwater thing, or that was
exactly
okay?
That's exactly it.
Okay, and it looks like policing is still DeKalb County.
Yes, for both Stonecrest and Tucker in the
Okay.
current agreement.
Okay, but in theory, that can be changed at any time, regardless of this SDS.
One
Or
more
does
time?
that can be changed by the city at any
Yes, well,
time?
and there's separate IGAs, and
Okay.
there's IGAs that govern those relationships, how long they last, how either party can choose to exit the relationship.
Okay. I seem to remember also that, I think maybe it was TJ in a previous budget kind of spreadsheet, that there are millage rates attached to each of these line items. Is that right?
I don't know about each of the line items, but yes, there's definitely millage rates assigned to a number of the line items.
Okay. I think that might just be instructive, so we understand, like, for instance, like Clarkston has police basic, but then there's a DeKalb County portion of that police basic. So if I remember
Sure,
correctly, when
sure.
I was in Clarkston,
So, yeah,
I remember we paid like a 0.2 mil or something for
Right,
that.
for certain additional services, or certain services beyond what the city provides, and I think that's
Yeah.
where you were,
Right.
helicopter and things like that, but we'll get you those.
And that shows up in the general fund millage rates. Each city has
In
a
the
different.
cities.
Each city has a
In the
different
cities
general fund millage
Mhm.
rate based on the SDS. Okay, and then maybe the only other question I had about just out of curiosity, under animal control, Decatur and Doraville have a D/DC. So I'm just curious, is there like actually something
maybe they have their own
functionally?
officers.
Okay, so that would just be the question: is Doraville, Decatur have something different? I think I know the answer for the police basic is that Lithonia, Pine Lake, and Clarkston are so small they
Right, they
might
rely on us
piggyback on a couple other things that DeKalb Police provides. So
probably detective or certain services beyond the traditional patrol.
yeah, exactly. But I think just having that millage rate for each of the services, I think, would be interesting and instructive for us to know. And the main reason I'm bringing it up is I think this morning there might have been a confusion from the public comment about like the unincorporated millage rate being higher and the general fund millage rate being lower. And I think it just depends on what service we're talking about, what jurisdiction. But it's not lost on me that a lower general fund millage rate also impacts unincorporated residents too.
Right. Everyone pays general fund.
So I know it's like a jigsaw puzzle, but it's not as like simple as the city's got a tax cut and the unincorporated got a tax raise. Like it depends on what you're talking about and what service delivery we're talking about.
Yeah, the laundry list of services that they get or don't get. Yeah, it's more to it, of course.
Yep.
Commissioner Patrick?
Yep. Following with what Commissioner Terry just said, if you could provide an understanding why different cities would have different millages for that service. I think geography ends up being an issue or consideration, maybe population as well, but just something that sort of explains, demystifies the answers that we get at the end. I think that would be helpful too.
Absolutely.
You yelled?
I'm good. That was my question. So.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. That is it.
Do we want to just hold this in committee until, and then we also have Commissioner Spears, who's got cities as well. She may have.
And if you have any other questions, you can email myself or Rachel.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now, unless there's any time sensitivities, are we good? I know that you had a target for September,
urgent.
so we're
It's fairly urgent.
Okay.
But if we
September, right?
Right. So if we're going to take it up in 2 weeks and vote on it, first meeting in September. What is that? September 15th.
all right. Then we'll just, yeah.
Right. It just has to be approved in September. So September 15th will be the date.
Then what I will say is, I support.
DCA can take up to 90 days for their review, so that's why there's.
Okay. All right.
How soon can you get us the information? And what I'm getting at is.
You could have it by Tuesday if you like.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say if we could do a Zoom meeting in advance. So maybe advance it without a recommendation, and then if we get those questions answered that everybody's looking for.
I'm amenable to that.
Then
I can get it in writing.
We're good.
Okay.
And also extend it to the other commissioners so that they're aware.
We'll offer a Zoom meeting to all of them.
Okay. Perfect.
I support that.
Okay.
You want to make the motion?
Make the motion to conditionally approve SDS based on the requested information that we've asked for.
And Zoom meetings.
And Zoom meetings to go with.
Or at least the option to participate in that. Second.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right, and we're on page 4, the last 2 agenda items. We're going to go to 2026-0982, all commission districts, a resolution urging the administration implement the specific recommendations outlined in the DeKalb County Racial Equity Study as adopted in 2025. COO.
And thank you, Madam Chair. And I'm going to ask that the board either postpone or withdraw this item, but I'd like to begin with just a very brief update. And we provided something in writing, I believe yesterday, late yesterday afternoon, on what the administration is doing to implement the various components of the study. And so in your email, you would have the specific recommendations, 5 key recommendations, which includes conducting an audit of internal communications within the county and its employees to ensure equitable access. And a number of things that we have done is launch a new employee resource page on the county's website that was launched in July of this year, July 7th. The page includes contacts for workplace concerns, accommodations, benefits, employee development and support, FMLA information, mental health, wellness, and counseling resources, accessibility initiatives, employee rights and workplace protections under federal and state employment laws and DeKalb County ethics standards. So it's a place that people and employees can go to get those various issues that may impact feelings of equitable treatment. Another recommendation is development and adopt a policy evaluation framework that assesses and measures internal policies to analyze the impact on current employees. HR has developed a formal scope of work. They've issued an RFP, or an RFQ, I apologize, to a total of 6 different firms, 3 consulting firms, and 3 universities, and we're expecting responses back by the end of August to conduct this a formal study to implement the policies. Additionally, develop and implement countywide expectations for accountability. We have implemented really over the last year or so training requirements, 8 hours for annually for individual contributors, 16 hours for managers and supervisors, and 8 hours for executive leadership. So that's mandatory training that is part of employees' annual performance evaluation. Develop the role of an equity officer to lead the county's internal equity initiatives. We have created a title of Access and Opportunity Officer, and that targeted hire date will be in the next probably 30 to 60 days. That's something's ongoing, and we're in the process of reviewing applications. And then complete a community equity study, and that's something that we're looking at. We've developed, I believe, a scope of work and shared that with consultants. So, you know, we're working on all of these things. We have very significant concerns on some language issues, but it would be our recommendation to allow the administration to continue to work on these for us to provide briefings. But I don't think that passing this resolution is necessary. Thank you.
All right. If you could just give me a quick second, Commissioner Terry, because I know you're a sponsor of this, and I am of the initial putting forth the implementation for the initial study, not opposed to looking at language where it could be known as and referred to as something different, but still incorporating those elements of concerns without using specific language. I'm amenable to that, but then also very much want to see, as we're considering those companies and putting up RFPs for the implementation, the consultants, who those individuals would be, and to be a part of the process. I want to, as a committee member, I want to allow Commissioner Patrick. Lord have mercy, it is getting late.
It's the beard.
You know,
it's the beard.
It is not getting sleep after getting a teen ready to go off to college in 2 days. That's what it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that explains
and I'm starting to get empty nester brain here. But Commissioner Patrick, do you have anything that you would like to add first?
One, I want to say I appreciate the conversation because that is a relevant factor. Here in DeKalb, we are one of the more diverse areas in the country. And so we do need to be sort of mindful and acknowledging that different cultures, different backgrounds may not always work well. And we need to encourage people to sort of step outside themselves and realize, particularly at the government level, that it's whatever the personal stuff is, the residents are number one, the businesses are number one for delivering those services. If we are hitting the metrics, I think that I would be comfortable pulling this one back. We have to be mindful of the environment we're in right now as well. But I still feel like achieving the goals is what's necessary. And so that's sort of my position is as long as we're achieving the goals, I'm comfortable with it, and I don't necessarily think we need to have a statement out there that puts us back on the radar.
I agree, COO.
And I would just say the board has already adopted the work. So I think that is the policy statement from the board. The administration is acting on the work.
Commissioner Terry?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to former Commissioner Larry Johnson and Commissioner Messiah for being leaders on this particular work. I was proud to support the original study from the Partnership for Southern Equity back when Commissioner Johnson introduced it, and then wholeheartedly support what Commissioner Messiah introduced last year, which was adopting the actual study, and then, of course, the next steps in the study. And so I think what I heard from CEO Williams today sort of really addresses what the spirit of what we were trying to achieve and what we have to work on. So I really appreciate you and Madam CEO for working on it. I'm excited about the access manager. I think that's a perfect opportunity for us to move forward a lot of the the things that we want to implement and continue to work on. And so if we could just get what you said in writing, just for documentation. Everything I heard sounded great.
Wait. In writing? No,
yeah, I mean, you're on the record because you said it, but I just want so we have it, so I can just look at it.
I sent it via email.
Okay.
And what I would suggest is maybe quarterly or something, we just give updates.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. So yes, I'd be happy to support a withdrawal of this item at the committee's discretion.
Patrick.
Motion to withdraw 0982. Based on the conversation and updates quarterly that we'll be receiving.
Second, under the pretense that we're going to implement, again, those policy recommendations and, what's been introduced in, as mentioned by Commissioner Terry last year, and appreciative of his commitment to drive home us addressing those particular issues. As long as we continue to be steadfast in getting them done, then again, I support a withdrawal and my second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. And then last on our agenda is 2026-0244, all commission districts, a resolution requiring an independent third-party health and environmental study of data centers and their possible impact on the DeKalb County and Board of Commissioners review of the study before DeKalb County Data Center moratorium can be lifted. Commissioner Terry.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this resolution has one small error in it because it's referring to the funding agenda item that was withdrawn. But I think based on the discussion at the last board meeting, I think there was a desire to move forward with just exploring the study. And so the key thing of this resolution is in section 2, which says establish a request for proposal to find the best vendor to conduct the independent third-party health and environmental study of data centers and their possible impact on DeKalb County. So if Madam Chair, if CEO Williams could just sort of respond of how, if the resolution was approved, how would y'all move forward on going about this study?
If it were approved, I mean, our first would be to look at universities, quite frankly, because they're policy exemptions that allow us to move faster.
Okay.
If that did not bear fruit, then we would go about, issuing to the market to see what we would get.
So maybe would an RFQ be the approach?
Probably. I mean,
for seeking out universities,
right,
or
right. Most likely, but we would work with purchasing to see what is the appropriate procurement tool. But the first step would be looking at, and there's a number of universities locally that would probably be eminently qualified for it.
Okay. So, Madam Chair and Commissioners, I'm happy to tweak some of the language in section 2. I think that's the meat of it, of removing the previously withdrawn agenda item, and then just whatever language purchasing would suggest on how they would go about seeking the vendor to do the study. If it's an RFQ, RFP, or something like that, I would open to any edits to that. But other than that, everything else is still the same, sort of fundamental aspect of just saying we should do the study.
Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I'd like to have Commissioner Spears here as a committee member weigh in on her take on some of this. I would say, rather than having this something focused around data centers in particular or any other particular user within the county, is just simply say this is intended as a baseline study for the county. There was a environmental study that was done at PDK before I think all of us were elected to the board, and then there was a disagreement on the accuracy or the efficiency or the effectiveness of that study, and then there were several years of acrimony that went with that, and I sort of want to avoid the notion of we tag this to a particular use or user or parcel, and if there's just a countywide baseline study of, we can talk about noise, we can talk about pollution, we can talk about air, we can talk about cell towers, whatever the issues are or concerns are. I'd be more comfortable having it as a very generic, this is where DeKalb County is today. And then that is a baseline that can be used by any other user that comes into the county. But again, that would be a recommendation I'd like to see on this. And again, I would like to move once we have Commissioner Spears here for the conversation as well.
And I support that. I'll also say, particularly some of the challenges in certain districts, and I will say mine, and the overwhelming number of concerns, environmental concerns that are found throughout the community. Being able to apply it not to just potentially a building of a center, but also, when it comes to other things, we have landfill, we have other things going on that I would, want to see what the potential adversities are to, socioeconomic, adversities, health, and otherwise to the community. So to be able to generalize it more so it can be used and applied to things that threaten our community as a whole or potential concerns that are raised by the community, I think is more in line with being able to apply it not just in this moment, but to things potentially in the future. And then when you add additional concerns and language that is found within the title and the crux of this, given our current situation at hand, I would want to look at the best way to draft this so that it can meet the needs of the folks and do the best that we can as commissioners and governing authority to protect the folk and the people. Commissioner,
if I could just add a follow-up to that. So, when it talks about the health and environmental status, sort of what I look at or what I hear is what are the reasons DeKalb County residents are passing away from the existing conditions that are within the county right now. And I think that is something that the medical examiner's office should be able to put together, but if it's something beyond any individual department to be able to assemble that information, then then I'd be willing to look into some of the other concerns or the idea of moving out to a RFP or RFQ. But I truly do believe most of the information that is out there is just simply needing to be presented to the board as a whole to understand where we are right now. And then again, we get that baseline expectation, and then we're able to move forward with whatever the issue is that comes up. And then just to add to the conversation, there's Spaghetti Junction with all the traffic that's there and the pollution that comes from that. We have trains, we have airplanes, we have sort of everything in the community or everything in a modern society that may create a pollution or a health concern in the community. And so I think this is where, almost like a status of health for the county, I think this would be an appropriate way to just put that out there as a baseline, and then everything else can be measured by that, regardless of whatever the user is that comes in and wanting to do something.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and not just why folks in DeKalb County are passing, but what could potentially lead to them or is it something that could potentially lead to certain health conditions? Because I think the important thing is to be forward thinking and to avoid those things that can potentially have health impact on our citizens. But Commissioner Terry, you're a sponsor of this. I want to make sure you have an opportunity to weigh in on your thoughts here.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do support generally the concept of doing an environmental health baseline study. I think that would be relevant for a whole host of things related to our clean energy goals, to the fact that Georgia Power is expanding Plant Bowen, I think, which is in the Metro Atlanta, air district, and we had 41 days of, non-containment air, red days or whatever they call it. And so, the baseline, I think, says here's where we're at, and do we want to improve air quality? Do we want to improve these health metrics as it relates to pollution in particular? And I think that would be good to inform us on other larger policies. The resolution, though, however, I think is very timely and actually, very important because, as I've said all along, as we've been in this moratorium, the purpose of the moratorium is to allow us to, study the impacts on data centers. So that has, been the original onus for creation of the moratorium. And so even though the text amendment was denied, this item has continued to be on the agenda item because it's something that we're actively pursuing. And so the goal of this study is to inform us as policymakers about the things that we should be concerned about when it comes to data centers. And I'll give you a very clear example. There was one study that came out of Arizona State University that said certain size data centers have a heat island effect of 4 degrees hotter. So, but that's one study at one university, and it really calls to the question of how we craft our ordinance and how we craft our regulations. Is it arbitrary to say that a data center cannot be within 300 feet or 1,000 feet of a residential neighborhood? Like, is that arbitrary? Do I have facts to say that 300 and 1,000 feet are substantially different, that the health impacts over that 1,000 feet actually would be improved, would be lessened, I should say, and that noise, pollution, other heat island effect, would be protected. So the study, I think, gives us the opportunity to have facts and evidence to inform our policy making. A good example, Commissioner Patrick, is when we were working on the small box discount retail ordinance. I know Rachel worked on that as well. We didn't arbitrarily set a distance requirement between small box discount retailers and other C stores or other, similarly type groups, because we just felt like it. We had the study that said there's a negative correlation within certain neighborhoods when you have clustering of these same types of businesses. And so the study gave us, the evidence and, just the information of how to craft an ordinance and a policy that protected the neighborhood. And so I think what has been missing from the data center text amendment discussion is that staff have been doing their research and their sort of, interviews of other jurisdictions, but that has not been solely focused on the concept of a third-party health and environmental study. And so what I would hope that would come out of this resolution is that we could approve it. We would let the procurement department come up with a strategy to seek that university to do that specific study on data centers. And understanding that we have different sizes, that we have, where we left it off with the text amendments, that there were certain distance requirements, buffers, generator policies, and that would help inform us of how we craft ultimately an ordinance that is, ostensibly the reason why the moratorium exists. So I'm hoping that if we can move forward with this, and understanding if it gets deferred, that's totally fine. We're still working on studying the issue of data centers, and so the moratorium should be in place until we can complete our review. And because this item has been active during this whole time and we're continuing to discuss it, I think this is it's important that we continue to discuss it as needed on the committee, understanding Commissioner Long-Spears is not here, but I would like us to move forward on this, hopefully sooner than later, because I think time is of the essence on these issues. Thank you.
Commissioner Patrick, did you have anything
Nothing
additional?
else to add, I guess. Fine leaving in this committee until we have our third member here.
Fair enough, and you're fine with that as well, all right, Commissioner? All right, just wanted to make sure. All right, there's nothing to do then. We'll keep it in committee, keep the discussion going, have Commissioner Longspears come in and be able to weigh in as well, and if there's additional things to iron out, we'll continue to do so. With that, I will entertain thank you so much, first and foremost, for everyone staying so late. I know we had a relatively brief agenda, but did spend, a decent amount of time to ensure an hour longer to get through it. I think it was fruitful, and thank you for your commitment. I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much.